Welcome back to Rolling Out. We have a very special guest in the building. You already seen the man's face. You already seen him up on the camera throwing up the H's. We got one of the greatest rappers of all time with one of the best verses of all time in the building. Shout out to Paul Wall, baby. Paul Wall. Hey,
What
how
it
you
do,
doing?
baby? What it do? Yes, sir.
Man, I can't call it. I can't call it. So you have the Great Wall out right now. It's been out for almost like a couple of weeks now. A couple of weeks released right before the holidays. Just how's the reception been around the new album and everything like that. And what are you most proud of with this particular project?
The reception has been great with it. I let everyone know it was coming for a long time, but I didn't really specify when it was coming. But it was real important to me for it to drop, what I'm saying, within the 23 calendar year, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, okay, we got to put a bow on it right before Christmas. This is a great Christmas present, you know what I'm saying? Really, really to myself, because I had been working on it for a long time. So I'm just really happy that it got to be completed and released, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, as a Christmas present to myself. But the reception has been great on it. What I'm most proud of on it, I think, are maybe saying some of the producers that are on there getting an opportunity to work with some of my favorites over the years. You know what I'm saying? My boy Solo, Big Swift. You know what I'm saying? They did their thing on there definitely. So working with them was something I had looked forward to my whole life. Also, just the collaborations that are on there, working with Bun B, working with Charlie Boy, of course, that Mexican OT, and Eddie Coke, Young Al. We had a lot of fun in there in the studio working. You know what I'm saying? So just having it come out, I'm really proud of just keeping it going with the collaborations and producers. Shout out to 5 9, my boy Platinum Hands, Bruce Bang, everybody. What it do? DJ Fresh definitely came with it too, man. I'm telling you, working with DJ Fresh on this, man, he really produced the bulk of the. I started getting sidetracked thinking of everyone else, but really when I started talking about it, started off, what I'm saying, with me talking about DJ Fresh, because he's somebody that what I'm saying, he's from the West Coast, from the Bay Area. I first got turned on to him, doing some stuff for some of the Bay Area artists, but when he did the Tonight Show with my boy Rich the Factor, that's when I really fell in love with his production. He incorporates a lot of that funk. It's up tempo. He does a lot of synth in his music. You hear a lot of that synth in there. So working with DJ Fresh on there, was a lot of fun. It brought something out of me, a different type of energy, out of me, and then incorporating that with everyone else that what I'm saying. It just really like yeah, it's going down a great while. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you say, you let people know about this project that it was coming out without a specific timeline for a while now. I remember when you did the Texans game with Bun popped out, you and Bun popped out, and they were kind of like honoring the Houston legends and everything like that in the scene. We seen pictures with your family, kind of like resurfaced and everything like that in 2023. So it was like you were really in a way coming out, but before like just saying like this is the day, do this, da da da. That the obviously that Mexican OT, you guys had a collaboration, like you said, on this project, but y'all also had his own collaboration and stuff like that. I guess just how does it feel just overall to be like still be relevant and get your flowers, be honored and everything like that, be revered in your city in 2020. Now it's 2024 at the time we're recording this, but what does that feel like to you, man?
Man, it's very humbling. This is my dream job. This is something I prayed for and worked hard for every day of my life, including this day. I prayed for this today. I said a prayer about this, and also I'm working hard continually today. So this is something that's been ongoing for me for a long time. So to be able to continue to do this, I'm trying to do this until they put me in the grave. You know what I'm saying? Not just be a rapper or an MC, but to work with some of my favorite entertainers or other rappers or R&B singers, producers, whether they coming out of my city or just in general, just the opportunity to work with some of these, dope people still continually. It feels great. I'm very humbled by that. It's not something I take lightly at all. I truly treat it like a profession, like a job, always working hard to try to just step up, improve my own game however I can, grow however I can, but also never forget my roots or where I came from, not just be focused on the fruits of, also focus on my roots. You know what I'm saying? So it's very humbling to continue to be able to do this for this many years and to have a new generation have love for me or be a fan of my music or any of that, support my music, listen, even to listen to it and give it a shot. It's not something I take lightly, because there's a lot of people from different eras of music that don't transition to the next era, and sometimes they sometimes get maybe forgotten about, or they only get enjoyed by their particular era. So for me to be able to cross over to another younger era, a different era, man, it feels great. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm ready to go forward, and let everybody hear. The Great Wall, I really been working on that for a long time. The way I work is I work on a almost daily basis in the studio. I'm constantly, whether adding a verse, adding a hook, changing a verse, changing the beat, whatever, just changing things around, working with different artists, always collaborating. So I have a big cachet of music. So, when it came to putting together the Great Wall, I might have had like 25 some songs, but it's like, okay. It gets to a point where it's like, okay, how many songs are we gonna do? I could have, I can easily pick 13 out of any one of these, but then you really get narrowed down. It's hard. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, instead of 13, it's gonna put 14 on there, man, because I love this song too. Man, it's gonna put 15 on it, man. Why ain't we putting 17 on it? Put 17 on the, so it's like that's really kind of where, the more and more, get added to the pot. It's like, okay, it's pot about to boil over. It's time to drop this album. We need to put it out. So that being said, I already have, over half of my album done for the next one, which is called The King of Cups. So just continuing to work on that, working from one album to the next, it's an ongoing process where every day we come in here and work. So that's a motivation when you see artists like that Mexican OT have his tremendous success and want to work with me. You know what I'm saying? That means something to me. That's motivation for me to keep going, man. Me want to work with me, man. Let's go. Let's get back in there and do another one, man. Come on.
No, 100. I do want to ask you before I get into the other stuff. First of all, that was a bar when you said not just focus on the fruits of my labor, but the roots. I said, oh my gosh, that was crazy. That was a crazy one right there. But I do want to ask you, do you have a date for the next one yet?
Sometime in the next few months, what I'm saying, probably before the summer, sometime before the summer.
Okay, okay, all
At,
right, all
at
right,
the
all right.
same time, life happens sometimes, or we do a lot of touring, so there's a lot of touring opportunity, and the song with that Mexican OT is continuing to grow. So as it continues to grow, you never know, we might do this or do that, and sometimes that takes away from the recording process. I don't want to rush nothing. We definitely got enough music to put it out, but it's about having the right music. You know what I'm saying, that all incorporates what the theme of the album is, all of that. So I'm like I said, I'm ready to mash on it and almost put the bow on it. The wrapping paper is covered in the box and is getting taped up. And we ain't ready for the bow just yet, but it's getting there. You know what I'm saying? But definitely probably before the summer.
Well, for sure, like let the Great Wall breathe. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah,
gave us 17, 18 tracks. Let the people, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? We just like, oh snap, Paul Wall healthy, Paul Wall good, Paul Wall
yes.
this, that, Paul Wall that. I do want to ask you, 50 years of hip hop just passed, but I do want to ask you, Drive Slow. Like, where does Drive Slow for you rank among all time verses ever in hip hop history?
I wouldn't rank my own verses, you know what I'm saying, with others, so it's hard for me to compare my own verses to others because, for one, the favorite verses that the people have of mine are never my favorite of mine. The favorite verses of mine are the ones I can say, and you're going to like put it on mute and be like, all right, we're going to holler at you later. So, it's always hard for me to, what I'm saying, compare. But some of my favorite verses are, Lil Kiki, you know what I'm saying, from Pimp to Pen. He had two really hard verses on there. They're definitely favorites of mine. Of course, Zero, Mo City Don freestyle. That's one of the greatest verses ever, greatest freestyles ever. It's more of a local thing. A lot of people worldwide maybe don't know it the way we cherish it and know it, but for us, it's something that's a true favorite of mine. Sean Price, Mike Tyson. He has some stuff on there. Man, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to rank the greatest verses of all time because the ones that people say are the greatest are the ones that I always was like, man, that was all right. Not even just
Don't
my
do don't
own.
do I did Paul, Paul. Don't that yeah, coming from me personally taking aside that the reporter had don't do that to don't do that to one of my favorite, my staples of my childhood and my upbringing as a man in this. Don't do that to my verse, man.
I had a lot of fun with Drive Slow, man. Hey, big shout out to Kanye West, man, for giving me that opportunity, man. He definitely put me on another level when he let me be on his album like that, did a song with me. You know what I'm saying? Even from him letting me do his grill, you know what I'm saying? I made his grill, yeah, but it was a hell of an opportunity for me to be able to make, Kanye West still to this day, a lot of grills, you know what I'm saying? And of course, to do that song with him is, man, it's a true blessing for me as an MC. Even when we did it, you know what I'm saying? I was more of a fan of his lyrics than I was of his beats. Whereas he was more known for his beats than he was for his lyrics. I always loved his lyricism because he always came with something serious, So of course I knew I had to come with it on there. I didn't, you never know how people gonna receive it, if he gonna like it, or how it's gonna be received by the people or all of that. But it was been a great reception, man. Big shout out to Kanye West, what I'm saying, for putting me on there, what I'm saying. Plain Pat, what's up? What it do? Yes, sir.
100%, 100%. I do want to ask you about, like we were touching on OT earlier and stuff throughout the interview. I want to ask you about the guys like Big X the Plug, the guys like Maxo Creams. Just how do you feel about like kind of this new crop, excuse me, of Texas rappers really coming up and kind of like carrying that sound? Because I think I hate to go off on a tangent here, but I think now with the internet, excuse me, a lot of the regions it gets blurred. Like there's not much of a distinct region sound of like, and I feel like Michigan's doing a good job of kind of like this is Michigan music, this is Detroit music. In Texas, those two, three guys that I've named, they're still holding it down for you guys over there in Texas and Houston of like Texas music still sounds like this. Atlanta music still, so just how do you feel about those guys and the overall scene of the Houston scene?
It's always been interesting to me as a fan of the Texas music, but also being in the middle of it, immersed in it, and living here, listening to it. We've always had a lot of artists that represent Texas music well, but sometimes they don't carry or translate outside of our region or our market. But when you see Maxo Cream, that Mexican OT, you see Big X the Plug doing their thing, Sauce Walker, they're really holding it down for the Texas sound and being accepted worldwide, nationwide. So you could turn on an NBA game and hear Big X the Plug, no matter what city it is, no matter what NBA team it is, not just if it's the Mavericks or the Rockets or the Spurs or something. Same with any NFL team. You go out there to the game and you watch them warming up, you're gonna hear some Maxo Cream or some that Mexican OT or Big X the Plug, no matter what city in what. And as a fan of it, it's amazing to see how the torch continues to be held and be lit and be well represented. Man, we in great hands, man. Texas music is definitely in great hands. I'm also happy for the cities outside of Houston, like Bay City, where Mexican OT is from, where he's a little outside of Houston, where now they getting their shine. Or Big X the Plug being from Dallas, there hasn't been a lot of artists from Dallas getting their nationwide, worldwide shine. So I'm real happy for that, for all the doors that's opening, and you see all the people that came before him or have come or coming after him. They all kind of uniting around that fire. You see a lot of of other industries coming to Dallas to see, okay, what other artists are here. Like you see the technology industry or the liquor industry, all these type of things coming to Dallas to see what other artists are there that they can get to help promote their products or perform at their whatever or use their music in their commercials. So it's really dope to see that type of representation be made, I'm saying, on a worldwide scale. Because Dallas, DF Dub has always, in the surrounding areas of the major cities, the smaller kind of cities have always supported the major cities. I've always supported Houston. Dallas has always supported Houston. So, it's definitely about time that they get their spotlight shown on them. Too many times it's been just kind of glanced over them. But there's a lot of stars in the city of Dallas or DFW in general. And then, of course, you got Charlie Boy from On My Mama, that now being Victoria Monet being, what I'm saying, nominated for all these Grammys, man. You seeing him, reemerge, even though he did this song a while back. It's just another stamp of, man, y'all must have forgot, man. We got real stars in Texas. So I'm very, as a fan of all of this, man, I'm very happy to see all of this. And it's so encouraging for the artists that come after that, because they have a lot to look forward to. Me as well, me being an artist now, continual artist, even though I'm more established or older artist, when I see these artists get that shine and get that representation, is very inspiring, very encouraging to me. So I'm ready to go in the studio right now.
Nah, 100%, 100%. I do want to ask a fun question before I get back to it. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you rank Keith Lee style, the Trillville burgers?
Man, you know what? I didn't see his what was his report on the Trill Burgers?
I don't know if Keith actually did it, but I was saying with
Okay.
you, if you had to do a Keith Lee style video for
Oh,
it,
okay. Oh,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
the video. What's
I'll
the
give you the
highest number?
spotlight. Here goes
What's
Paul
the
Wall,
highest number? Trill
Keith
Burger's
Lee.
gonna be the
Yeah,
highest
come on,
number.
man.
Yo, what's the highest number? Trill Burger's gonna be the highest number. Look, I mean, I love them Trill Burgers. Now they have onions on them. Some people don't like the onions. You can get them without onions. I love the onions. When I get a Trill Burger, I tell them, hey, put raw onions and the grilled onions and put extra onions. Put them on both sides of the patty, man. I love the onions, man. I don't like the pickles though. I will say, man, give me one of them Trill Burgers without the pickles. But you know how they make it, the classic style. It is amazing how it comes. Of course, you customize it however you want. Man, that Trill Burger is definitely getting the 10. Whatever the highest marks are, the highest number, if it's 100, it's getting 100. Yeah, man, that Trill Burgers is definitely going to be marking off the charts for your boy. Yes, sir. Shout out to Trill Burger.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Paul. I do want to ask you. You can see the band on your finger. We see your kids all the time, specifically your son, things like that, and hope he's doing well and stuff like that. I remember one of the verses that stick out with me to you over the past few years was when you did Church Close 2 with Lecrae, and stuff like that. I just want to ask you from a faith based perspective, what does your faith mean to you? And I remember earlier, and even in this interview, you were talking about you prayed for this each and every single day. What role has your faith played in your career, your sustained success, and the position that you're in right now?
Definitely my faith plays 100% in it. Of course, I give all the glory to God for everything I work for. So if God so deemed to take it away, hey, by all means, it ain't mine in the first place. I just like the torch. I might hold it for a little bit, then I'm gonna pass it on to somebody else. So I always try to, whatever steps I make in this life, whatever path I'm on, I try to stay focused to whatever my goals are, what are my true goals, or what I want the most. Not just what I want right now, but what I want the most. And sometimes you gotta maybe cross paths with yourself and maybe change a little bit and, detour a little bit to get to where you want to go, based off of what's in front of you or what you're dealing with. But I always just try to, every step I take, every decision I make, I always try to, go wherever I feel like I'm led or wherever I feel like God is encouraging me to go. And that's something I try to instill onto my kids as well. I don't ever try to enforce too much religion on them. I want them to, discover that on their own or like, I definitely, explain the different religions to them, but what I'm saying, it's not so much more about that. It's more about their personal relationship with God. And as they get older, as they see the things, they do definitely experience some of those things. One of those things for my son was one time when, we went out of town. It was the first time. He was 12 years old. This was the first time we really took him on the road to do a show. We had a show the night after Thanksgiving. So we went out there. We were going to Austin. It was about a 2.5 hour drive. We were driving in our Sprinter. We turning into the venue. As we're pulling into the venue, a big giant a dually truck with the big cow bars on the front came just barreling down the road and just ran into the side of us. And we just went spinning around here, the light pole. Thank God we were all right. But when you get out the car and you see what the Sprinter looked like, a little mini tour bus, a Sprinter. If you don't know what a Sprinter is, it's like a little small charter bus, kind of style. If you see how it was just completely tore up, it's definitely a realization that, man, everything could have changed that night for us. So it did change, definitely for my son, because before we left, I showed him this is what we do every time we go on the road. We always pray. We pray for God to cover us, with protection, to lead us, to guide us, to bless us with comfort our minds so that we don't get too stressed out. Let's go out here and remember what we're doing, why we're doing this, and go out and have a good time, but focus on our job and come back healthy to our families in the time we matter. And we always pray these type of prayers before we leave. So we prayed that with my son before we left. And then after we, were spared, we were saved. After all, we see everything that God really protected us. I was telling him, like, man, you see them prayers do work, and prayers do work. And I really feel like he felt it because, it was a big accident we got in, and God really protected us. And I feel like that's one of the first times where he really felt it in his heart, in his soul, that God has a plan for him personally, where it's not necessarily connected to me or who his father is or who his mother is or any of that. He has his own path in life. And I always encourage him to walk down that path, be who he's supposed to be who, God wants him to be, and who he wants to be, not necessarily who the world wants him to be because he's Paul Wild's son, or who I want him to be, or any of that. For him to be who he's supposed to be, who he's meant to be, who God wants him to be, and who he wants to be. And being a parent and sharing that faith, encouraging my kids, and sharing the same similar faith with my wife, or my sister-in-law, or my nieces, all of that. It's it means a lot for us as a family, because it builds our family unity, our bond. And you feel, when one person is blessed in the family, we all feel it, we all celebrate those blessings. And so shout out to my family, shout out to the Wild House. What it do?
No, no, for sure, for sure, for sure. When I was listening to the Great Wall, one thing that I really noticed was like, um, just how positive the lyrics were. Like it was like, and it takes you back to that time or whatever, like the 2000s, 04, 05, and everything like that, of just like kind of how much different the landscape was. Like, yes, I feel like it's always going to be a thing where the older generation like criticizes rap or whatever the popular genre is at the time. But looking back and like listening to, even like I said, the Great Wall right now, it's like it's not too many bars about, if any, about killing, shooting, this and that. It's just flexing. It's just playing music. It's just riding real clean. Like it's just the music that y'all known for. And I just want to ask you about that lyrical content. Like, how conscious are you when coming up with your lyrics and everything like that, to making sure that you put out just a positive message, not even just now with the Great Wall, but like kind of what you've been doing your entire career. This ain't something that I noticed, like I said, until just now when I was listening to the Great Wall. But yeah, throughout your career, how important was that for you?
It's definitely something that is not too prevalent on my mind when I'm making the music. However, I will say, I shine through my music. So I'm like, what I'm saying? I'm coming out of, you see me in the music. So since that I'm a positive person, you're going to hear that positivity flow through the music, even though that's not like really necessarily the goal. There have been times in the past where we've done songs and they might have been too extreme or violent or too sexual or too something, where I just didn't feel comfortable. And even if the songs were jamming, where there have been occasions where these songs were jamming, but it was just like, you know what? I don't know how I'm gonna feel if my pastor heard that, or if my mama heard. How am I gonna explain this to my daughter or my son? What am I just gonna say? Oh, it was a good rap lyric. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, it was catchy, or something, or that's just how it was back in those. Nah, I want to be able to, what I'm saying, be proud of the things I'm saying and I'm putting on wax, and I want it to be a representation of who I am. So I'm not gonna get on there talking about killing this and that. I'm not out here killing people like that. So I want it to be a true representation of who I am. Now sometimes on the verses, you're gonna hear the best of me. You know what I'm saying? The best of who I am in my verses. You know what I'm saying? I might not be on 10 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? You might catch me when I just woke up, I'm looking crazy, feeling crazy or something. You know what I'm saying? Well, I might be grumpy or something like that. You know what I mean? But when you hear me on the lyrics, on the verses, I definitely want to be the best representation of who I am, and more of a complete representation, not where I'm just stretching it, doing too crazy. Now, as what I'm saying, the albums come out, what I'm saying, from the first album to now, I was blessed to be in an era of mixtapes where we will put out a mixtape every few weeks or every month. And I might only have one or two verses on the mixtape, but people, I would get some feedback from what people would like or what they didn't like. So they like this, all right, I'm gonna put it in the next one. Oh, they like it, okay, I'm gonna put it in the next one. Try some other things. They like this, they don't like whatever. You can kind of get some great feedback. But when the albums come out, that's when you get more hyper criticized on some of the things. So you never know how people gonna like it. And the funny thing is, sometimes I'll put something out, and being I have a diverse fan base and I got a diverse style, one portion of the fan base will think it's trash. The other portion of the fan base will think it's the greatest music I ever put out ever. Then I'll, switch the style a little bit, and the critics will switch. Oh, I love this. This is the greatest thing you ever put out. And the other fan group thinks that it's trash. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to find a medium. What people tend to do is they, get one song or two songs from each group to kind of please everybody, I don't try to do that. I try to theme the album, one particular theme or one particular style, and not dabble too much out of that style. That's why on this particular album, DJ Fresh was the core producer on there. DJ Fresh and my boy Bruce Bang, he did majority of the rest, even though there was others, but because I wanted a core vibe, a core feeling, that DJ Fresh gave, with the instruments that he uses when he plays the funk, the synth, all the things I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I kind of go more into those type of things. So with me, it's more like, as a critic might love this album and hate this album versus, we love this album, but I hate that song and that song. I just love everything else. You know what I'm saying? It's more like you're gonna love the whole album or you're not gonna love the whole album. So some of the albums, they were more money based, where it was more based about, some of it is more intricate, or some of the undertones of the music, or some stuff you might have to catch that might not really hit you right away when it come to the themes, you know what I'm saying. But like, or Slab God or Houston Oiler, they were more car based, where it was like these are more meant to be enjoyed in the car, but definitely, so it kind of varies as I go. And as, of course, now that I have kids, you know what I'm saying, or my kids' teachers, you know what I'm saying, I gotta have a conference with my kids' teacher. I can't be saying nothing too crazy on there, you know what I'm saying, and my lyrics, you know what I'm saying. So these are all things that I'm aware of, just of course, in my lyrics, what I'm doing. The Great Wall, definitely with the title like that, I wanted it to be me being my best self, the best representation of me, something positive, something I could be proud of, something my parents can be proud of, my ancestors can be proud of, my, future ancestors, my descendants, could be proud of, all of those things, you know what I'm saying? That's what went into the Great Wall.
Well, Paul, we appreciate the time so much, man. Thank you for stopping by Rolling Out New Music Friday this week. We definitely want to shout out who we want to shout out. Travis Scott. We want to shout out Meg Thee Stallion. We want to shout out Beyonce. Shout out to the whole state of Texas. Shout out to Victor Wembanyama. Shout out to Jalen Green. Shout out to
CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Will Anderson Jr. What it do?
CJ Stroud, Rookie of the Year. You know what I'm saying? MVP candidate. Going to get the Texans back on top. Shingun, Prince Shingun. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout
Alex
out to
Bergman, Altuve, McCullers.
There you go.
Yo, Don, what's up,
shout out to the Astros, man. Hey, man. Hey, Paul Wall, we appreciate the time so much. New Music Friday. I'm Rashad Milligan, and as always, please take care of yourselves.
Shout out to my boy Johnny Dang. What's up, baby?